I know over at the Now Show and everything, and certainly when we were on air, the big news broke about Gregg Berhalter, and we probably should do that. Mosse, anything real quick before we get into this?
No, there's the big story today. Doug McIntyre broke it. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so I mean, it shouldn't come as any surprise necessarily in the world of sport after a abject failure of this United States team in the Copa America, that there would be a change. But this is the United States Soccer Federation, and so you never know what they're going to do. We've already seen multiple changes of coaches because of failures in the Copa America. And so we get the word today, as you said, from Matt Crocker, that Gregg Berhalter, his services will no longer be retained. And so he goes on. I think you would all join me in saying thank you to Gregg Berhalter, and we wish him well, and I think he is going to go on and have a wonderful career. But I also think you would join me in saying that this was absolutely appropriate and fair for the moment. As I've said time and time again, Gregg Berhalter has been given numerous bites at the apple and plenty of opportunity. And ultimately, the failure here at the Copa America, and we did talk to Matt Crocker behind the scenes before we went on air, and he was very gracious and he was very honest about himself and about this decision. And really, it came down to results. And I was actually heartened to hear him talk about the fact that it was about results and it was about doing things to make sure that we have every chance of success in 2026. We have the quote up here on the screen from Matt Crocker. And, a lot of people are putting out quotes. Gregg Berhalter put out a statement, and, I'm sure that it's looked over by agents and everything. But I did think that they were both appropriate. They don't give you necessarily any additional information, but the fact is that the United States men's national team is no longer being coached by Gregg Berhalter. The search has obviously started now. They hope to get something done by September, and who knows, maybe even before. But whoever that person that comes in, I think is going to be the one that is going to lead this team into 2026, where it is important that we have somebody that enables us to be excited, that enables us to be inspired, that enables us to believe that this is a team to believe in. And I think right now there are too many people that don't believe in it. And so I think that's the mandate right now for Matt Crocker. And I think he did what needed to be done and what he should have done. Mosse.
The night the U.S. was eliminated from the Copa America, we had Carly Lloyd on, and we all felt like Berhalter should go, but we hedged our bets on whether he would go because that would mean Matt Crocker admitting that he got it wrong in his first major decision as the sporting director. Matt Crocker did take that step today. I think it's the right move, but we have to say it does mean the U.S. essentially wasted the last 18 months since the last World Cup.
I think Matt Crocker would probably push back on that and say that there's plenty of stuff that happened off the field. There's plenty of growth that he could certainly point to. But as I've said on air, and I will say it to you now, it doesn't matter. It's about results. I don't care how kumbaya. I don't care about the growth off the field. I care about getting results. And ultimately, they didn't get results. And to be fair to Matt Crocker, when we talked to him today, he did say, hey, it is on me to a certain extent. I hired him. It didn't obviously go the way that he anticipated and wanted it to go. But he was also very complimentary of the work that Gregg Berhalter has done both on and off the field. But now he's got a big, big job. And this is huge in terms of Matt Crocker making sure. He also mentioned that he had learned things. Now, he didn't get specific, but I hope whatever he has learned leads him to pick the best possible player. Our best possible coach going forward. We'll talk a little bit more about potential when it comes to coaches. Melissa, I don't know, guys, I didn't watch your show, but what was the general sentiment from you and others that were talking about this as this news came down?
Yeah, we broke it right as it happened. And, a news like that, I think we were all expecting it, just waiting for that moment. And I clearly said that, hey, we have to applaud Gregg Berhalter for what he did with the U.S. men's national team, qualifying the team to a World Cup and actually putting together a really strong team. I think this U.S. men's national team is littered with talent, and that plays in the biggest clubs and biggest leagues in Europe. But at this given point, because they had an absolute failure at Copa America, it was the right move by U.S. soccer to do that. You need to turn the page. If something's not working out, you need to turn the page and change things. And I think they did make the right move. Now it's, will you make the right move with the next person in charge? So again, credit to Gregg Berhalter for what he did. I've got to obviously be around the U.S. men's national team a lot in the past 2 years, covering all of their games here in the States. And I've learned a lot, not only from him and also from, U.S. soccer and the staff. And I just have to be thankful, like me as a Colombian American, I've also been able to enjoy U.S. soccer and like become an American soccer fan over the course of years. And I'm just really looking forward to what's next. And I think that's the most beautiful part of turning the page and learning from mistakes and learning from failures. It's the learning part that's the most important.
Yeah. As I said, to your point, we want it to be a collective, and we want it to be a united group that believes. And everybody's going to have some criticisms here or there and all that kind of stuff. But right now it was fractured. And unfortunately, the situation was divisive. And unfortunately, I think the situation was not fixable. And so I think Matt Crocker ultimately did what he needed to do, what he was hired to do, but he has got to get it right. This is a really interesting time for American soccer. Melissa, you were talking about how excited you are about going forward. And there is a palpable type of excitement because change can bring that. And with the firing of Gregg Berhalter, there is the opportunity to bring in somebody that is going to affect that positive change. And like I said before, excite us about what is coming forward. Now, there are going to be lists and there are going to be names that are going to be thrown out all over the place. I should say that we asked Matt Crocker directly, again, to confirm that if they want to hire somebody, that cost will not be an obstacle. And he absolutely confirmed that. And so we can dispel that rumor right now when it comes to whether the Federation, if they are going to shoot the moon, and it is going to require a lot of money, if Matt Crocker will be given those funds to be able to do that. That absolutely will happen. Now, just because it can happen doesn't mean that that person is available or that person is who Matt Crocker is going to ultimately hire. But that is important. So now the guessing game starts about who should replace Gregg Berhalter. And the lists are going to be long. They are going to be diverse. And they are going to involve people that you know and people that you don't know. And whether it's Rob Stone saying, hey, shoot for the highest you possibly can get in the Klopp type of vein, or whether it's somebody like a Hervé Renard, or whether it's a domestic type of product like a Wilfred Nancy from Columbus, or a Jim Curtin, or a Steve Cherundolo here in Los Angeles. There are plenty of candidates out there. We mentioned Jurgen Klopp out there, Cherundolo. Somebody even mentioned Gareth Southgate because he will be available very soon, I think. And who knows, maybe he will be a European champion by the time that he is looking for work. Jim Curtin, I mentioned, Patrick Vieira, the list goes on and on and on. Ultimately, I'm sorry, you have something to say, Mosse.
Well, can we give some credit here?
Yes,
the list you
can.
just read out was Doug McIntyre's list. This was a heat check by Doug because he broke the story today, so he felt like I can throw out a bunch of names and I'm Doug McIntyre, so everybody has to take it seriously. So yeah, that's the list Doug came up with. Klopp 1, Cherundolo 2, Southgate 3, Curtin 4, and Patrick Vieira 5.
Yeah, and so and many of the other ones that I just named. I'll be honest with you, this I'm looking at not as somebody that is going to fundamentally change the trajectory and future of American soccer. I just want that person to come in and for the next 2 years to do everything in their power to make this group of players as good as they possibly can. And I hope, Melissa, to your point, I hope that the U.S. players, I know they're probably sitting on beaches right now, most of them, okay? But I hope they watched tonight. And I hope they saw how important it is and how emotional it is and how passionate and how fierce and how ruthless you need to be. And, on both sides, to be quite honest with you, in terms of the game that we saw tonight, because that is the type of tenacity, that is the type of attitude, that is the type of personality that this U.S. team has to foster. And if the players that we currently have right now don't have that, then I'm sorry, we're not going to progress and we're not going to be able to beat the elites. So you better have it, or you better develop it real quick, or we need to get other people in that do have it. Because I'm sorry, we're not going to be Spain, okay? We're not even going to be Brazil. But I do think that we can be the likes of Colombia, the likes of Uruguay, in that tenacity, in that ruthlessness, in at times even that recklessness. And so whoever ultimately it is, I hope that person wants to do this job. And I hope that person comes in and does the job going forward. Anything before we go? And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Today.
I mean, just to bounce and add off that.
Sure.
And I like what you said about learning from this game, both Colombia and Uruguay. USA faced off against a Panama side that is not as good as them at the end of the day. You have one player on Panama, I believe one, that was playing in Europe, and I believe it's in the second division, and couldn't pull off a result against a 10-man Panama. Whereas Colombia pulled off a result against a 10-man, but against a 11-man Uruguay. That just goes to show the not only eliteness that they showed in terms of performance, but also, I want to say, maybe the buy-in, and I think moving forward, the players have to be bought in to whatever this new and next coach will be teaching, will be guiding, not only with the players, but also the fans. I think US soccer, and this is talking on my personal beliefs, opinions, and own perspective. Because look, I'm born in the USA to Colombian parents. And yes, I represented Colombia on the world's greatest stage, but I'm still very proud to be American. And I, during these USA games, was wearing a USA kit because I'm American and I love it. And I want them to succeed. I want the US men's and women's national teams to succeed. But you know what happens is that there's a lot of people like me, millions of people like me who are dual nationals, who rather root for their other country, their other nationality, whether it's Mexico, Ecuador, Colombia, et cetera, et cetera. But if USA starts winning and they prove it with results, they will convince an entire dual national, triple national, however many diverse people we have in this country to be US soccer fans. And that's what I want to happen in this country, because every time I go to a U.S. soccer game as a broadcaster and cover the U.S. men's national and women's national team, I'm damn proud to be there because I am American at the end of the day, and I love it, and I want them to succeed. So I just hope that whatever coach is selected and is chosen, they're convincing. Not convincing only for the players, and the players get the result, but convincing for the fans.
Damn, I love it. I love it. You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.